Are you feeling the pinch of rising prices? And wondering how it'll impact you as an individual or the business? Inflation is at a 40-year high, and it's impacting everything from groceries to housing. But don't worry. In this video, we'll break down what inflation is, why it's happening, and most importantly, what you can do to protect your finances from its effects. Stay tuned to learn some actionable tips to navigate this economic challenge. And most importantly, tips to help you mitigate the impacts on your wallet.
It refers to the increase in the general level of prices for goods and services in an economy. Inflation is currently hovering near a 40-year high, driven by steep increases in food prices, housing, and utilities.
But what causes inflation? The most common cause is when there is an excess of spending over the economy's ability to produce goods and services. In other words, when there is too much demand for a product or service and not enough supply, producers begin to raise prices. This is also known as built-in inflation, which is the target inflation rate that economies try to maintain to keep the market competitive. If you see the simple example, in the US, the Federal Reserve System's target for inflation is 2%. This means that businesses can increase prices by 2% each year, and the market will still be competitive. Workers can also ask for a 2% wage raise based on these increases so that they can still afford goods and services.
But is inflation good or bad? Well, that depends. If the rates of inflation are consistent, positive, and low, they can be beneficial. However, if inflation goes beyond its target percentage, it can cause uncertainty in the market. So, how does raising interest rates fight inflation? The Federal Reserve's main tool to control inflation is the federal funds rate, which is the rate banks charge each other for overnight loans. If that rate rises, banks generally pass on their additional cost. Higher rates curb borrowing, cool off an overheated economy, and fend off inflation spikes. But who is hurt the most by inflation? Whoever is spending the most on goods and services can be negatively impacted by inflation. For instance, when gas or food prices are inflated, low and moderate income families are hurt since they spend a higher share of their total income on energy and food.
Inflation and recession are strongly related, and with inflation surging, more Americans are taking on extra work to afford holiday purchases and everyday necessities. More than 4 out of 5 Americans who currently have or plan to take on a side gig, seasonal job, or extra hours at work say inflation played a role in their decision. So, what can you do to protect yourself from the effects of inflation? Here are some actionable tips for individuals and business owners to consider during a period of inflation. For individuals, consider the following.
Number 1. Create and stick to a budget that accounts for rising prices. This can help individuals prioritize their spending and ensure they have enough money for necessities. Second, save money whenever you can to build up an emergency fund that will help you deal with sudden price hikes. Third, think about investing in things like real estate or commodities like gold or oil that have kept their value in the past during times of inflation. Number 4, shop around for better deals and use coupons or discount codes to save money. Consider buying in bulk to save money over the long term. Number 5, negotiate for lower prices on big-ticket items, such as cars or appliances. If you're a renter, try negotiating with your landlord for a lower rent increase. Or consider moving out of urban areas.
Next, for business owners. Number 1, consider raising prices to keep up with inflation. But be careful not to price yourself out of the market. Monitor competitors' prices to ensure you remain competitive. Second, look for ways to cut costs without sacrificing quality, such as renegotiating supplier contracts or reducing overhead expenses. Third, keep track of your inventory carefully so you don't end up with products you can't sell that are now too expensive because of inflation. Fourth, consider increasing employee compensation to help them keep up with rising prices and retain top talent. Fifth, consider diversifying your products or services to minimize the impact of inflation on your business. Look for areas that might be less affected by inflation. or that could benefit from a rise in demand when inflation happens. These tips can help individuals and business owners navigate the challenges of inflation and mitigate its impact on their finances.
In conclusion, inflation can have a significant impact on your financial well-being. By understanding what it is, what causes it, and who is most affected by it, you can take steps to protect yourself and your finances. Please consider subscribing to my channel and hitting that like button if you learn anything helpful. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.